here with David Inarelli, the man behind the curtain, so to speak, for New Life Puppets Incorporated. You've been part of this whole puppet thing for how long now? 2, maybe 3 years?
Yes, that's about right.
I mean, why puppets? Of all the different avenues of ministry that you could have chosen, what made you decide to do puppets?
Well, it's funny. They kind of chose me. One Sunday, we all went out to eat after church, as we normally do, and we all ended up at the same restaurant, pastor included. And my kids, they ran off with their friends, and the couples, well, they coupled, and I'm single, so I just kind of stood there awkward, looking for a place to sit. You're kind of holding your tray like the high school lunchroom or whatever. And but I noticed my pastor's wife had gone to run errands that day, and he was sitting by himself. So I ran over there and sat with him. And we ate. But as we were finishing up, he kind of looked over at me and he says, we had a meeting and we were thinking about getting the puppet ministry going again in this church. And when we were considering who we wanted to lead it, your name came up. And I know I'm kind of creative by nature, so I guess they felt as though that would help. And it has.
So were you familiar with puppets at all? I mean, did you know how to build them, how to puppeteer? How did you learn about this totally other world that is puppetry?
No, I wasn't familiar at all. I mean, I watched puppets as a kid, but as far as building puppets, I had no clue where to even start. I'd puppeteered a little. I mean, a very little. Compared to now, I knew nothing then. I didn't even know I knew nothing. But I began watching video tutorials online and, reading about how to build puppets and, how to puppeteer. There's a lot of ins and outs of it. I just started to pick up little things here and there. We frequently visited the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta. And we became members and, I actually attended a 3-day intensive on puppet building that I got invited to. And, I learned a few things from the resident puppet builder there at the Center for Puppetry Arts. Continued to watch more videos, picked up a little here, a little there, asked a bunch of questions online, continued to watch videos. Did I mention I watched a lot of videos? I just dove right into it. Experience has been quite a teacher. It's not been an easy one, but effective nonetheless.
So you're still learning, trying to figure it all out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I learn something new every day, such as life, but, it's a lot of fun.
You have a new show coming up in April, is it? May, maybe?
Yeah.
And it's called Melleau's Castle. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, Melleau's Castle is a Christian-based children's program that uses different puppets and characters in different situations and scenarios to teach young people about how the Bible applies to their everyday life.
So it's very biblical in nature. Can you tell us more about your vision in terms of it being a ministry?
My vision? I see the show reaching the lives of young people and allowing them to learn about how to live for God. That the Bible does apply to everyday life. Not just a few times a week, but that God is with you when you're afraid. He's in your teeth brushing routine. When you use your manners, how you eat. He's with you when you're being bullied. That every breath you breathe is one that God gave you, and that He deserves for us to serve Him and to live for Him every minute of every day. When my children were younger, they used to watch a show on television called Playhouse Disney, and of course I would watch too, day in and day out. Then one day, Playhouse Disney Live came to a local mall, and of course we went. But what I saw was more than I bargained for. Thousands of children and parents came to see the show, evidence of how many people it had reached. And there was this one show called Bear in the Big Blue House. It had the most fantastic full-body puppet, named Bear, of course, and he was at that show. And this bear comes out, shaking his bear bottom, no pun intended. But the parents came unglued. I mean, the children were screaming naturally, but what caught my attention was how excited the parents were to see these puppets. And the way I see it, if that show got that much attention, then imagine the impact we could have when we take this thing live and we have the gospel of peace.
That's just great. So not to get off track any, but where do you draw your inspiration from in terms of this puppetry? Surely there were shows you watched as a kid, maybe even as an adult, as you mentioned, that appeal to you, that still inspire you?
Yeah, there's several shows that I did watch as a kid. You know, Sesame Street, The Muppet Show, Fraggle Rock, Pee Wee's Playhouse, even, and some as an adult that I draw from. Bear in the Big Blue House, of course, and even Elmo's World. Um, there's a fairly new one out called Crash and Bernstein that I like a lot.
Do you have a favorite puppeteer? Who was your favorite puppet growing up?
Uh, Man, there's so many. Jim Henson, Frank Oz, Carol Spinney, Dave Goles, Jerry Nelson, Don Saleen, and Kermit Love were iconic puppet builders. But I have to say, Jim Henson was and is my favorite puppeteer slash puppet builder. You could tell he really believed in not only what he did, but he also believed what he was doing. So it always had this level of believability to it that always seemed so natural to him. My favorite puppet would have to be Kermit, of course, for obvious reasons. But the Star Wars fan of me would have to go with Yoda. I also really liked Hoggle from Labyrinth. I was always amazed as a kid at how good that puppet looked. Still fascinates me to this day.
What are some of the characters from the show, and what are they like?
Well, there's Melleau, of course, the main character, who coincidentally was my first puppet, and he's sort of the host of the show. You're in his castle having all this fun. Then you have Jacob and Miriam, the puppet stars of New Life Puppets Inc., which is the name of the puppet ministry, by the way. They're my kids, I guess you could say. We have Napkin Face and his goofy yet meaningful poetry, and the New Life Puppet News with your host Justin Time, and there's several others that they all work together to kind of keep it interesting.
So I see you're playing one of the characters from the show in addition to your voiceovers. DIY Dave, is it?
Yeah.
And is what we see before us Dave? I know you're David, but will your character be different in any way? I guess I mean, how much of a role will it be for you?
Well, DIY Dave is pretty much me. I mean, not much acting there. I like to tinker and I love to teach. I'm always tinkering and showing my kids how to do stuff, and it seems to be something they like. So I wanted to include that as a part of the show in hopes that other kids would enjoy it as much as mine have.
And I believe we have a clip from Random Picks. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it before we play it? It's a clip from the pilot episode, right?
Yes, it's from the pilot. It's called Random Picks with DIY Dave, and it's me or DIY Dave, doing a project for the kids. We lay out what you'll need and kind of how to do it, and there's a little surprise in the middle, and then the kids have something they can build and use that kind of, again, it keeps things fun and interesting. Hi kids, welcome to Random Picks. I'm DIY Dave. You ready to work on a project? All right, let's see. What do we have here? Ooh, that looks like a good one. Cardboard puppets. So here's some things you'll need. A pattern, maybe a stencil for some eyes, a manila folder, some construction paper, red foamy sheets, maybe some yarn, a pair of scissors, a hole punch, permanent marker, maybe a pen or pencil, some colored markers are nice, some googly eyes, some felt stickers, some adhesives, double-sided tape, regular tape, glue sticks are nice. You won't need all of this, but it helps for variety. Oh, and by the way, always remember to observe any safety precautions that are necessary, and most importantly, ask your parents before you begin any project. Let's get started. Okay, so the first two things we're going to need is a manila folder and the pattern. You can get these manila folders at your local dollar store, and you can download this pattern on the link below this video. So then once you're done with that, go ahead and cut your pattern out, lay it on the manila folder, and then we're just going to trace around it with a pen or a pencil or something like that. And then once you're finished tracing it out, it'll look a little something like this. And of course, the next step is obvious. We're going to cut it out. Let's go ahead and speed this up. Then once we're finished cutting it out, it'll look a little something like this. So the next step is to connect the corners. You'll notice the fold lines on the main part of your pattern. So just take a ruler or a straight edge of some sort and just connect the corners with it, and then take a pencil or a pen or something of that sort and just go ahead and draw a line from each corner. The straight edge will make it easier. And then go ahead and fold it on those lines, and it should look something like this when you're finished. By the way, take note of the two little lines on the end of the cross piece of the main part of the pattern, and don't forget to use your scissors to cut those slots. And when you're finished, fold the two cross pieces over the top and line the two slots up and insert them into one another. And then once you have them firmly placed in one another, you can take a piece of regular tape to hold them in place. Just place the tape across the two things and press firmly and you should have it. And that'll give you a place to put your hand. The next step is to take a piece of construction paper in the color of your choice and then find the face piece of the pattern. Don't forget the bottom piece that goes along with it. Then place it on the piece of construction paper and just trace around it with a pen or a pencil or a marker. Next, we're going to grab our handy dandy double-sided tape, which works great for these kind of projects, and we're going to place a piece on the bottom side to hold it in place. Then we'll take a glue stick for a little bit of variety, and we'll attach the top piece. Next up is a black piece of construction paper that we're going to use for the inside of our puppet's mouth. So you guessed it, go ahead and find the mouthpiece of the pattern and put it in the corner since the two edges are already square. And then take a pencil and trace around it. And then when you're finished, take your scissors and if you hold them just right, whoa, that was pretty cool. So we'll take this and then we're just going to fold it in the middle. The fold line is also indicated on your pattern. And we'll take the glue stick and apply liberally. And place it into the inside part of the mouth. Once we press it in firmly in place, we can take our red foamy and the little tongue piece of the pattern and put it on there and trace it, or if you wanted to freehand this part you could. The next thing you're going to want to do is take a permanent marker of some sort and we're just going to draw the little line in the middle of the tongue just to kind of make it fun. You can make your tongue any way you want to. Then I'll use a piece of double-sided tape to attach it to the inside of the mouth. So for a little variation on the eyes, you could take a piece of white construction paper and, whoa, I'm only kidding, just a little movie magic. I like these little felt stickers that you can also use for eyes. And for some hair, we'll just take a length of yarn and wrap it around the width of our fingers. Then we're going to tie it in the middle and use a pair of scissors to cut the loops off the end. And voila, we have a little puff of hair. I'd also like to introduce you to the magic of a glue gun. And I forgot to mention that originally, but if you'll put a little spot of glue in the middle, it has a lot better chance of sticking the yarn to your puppet than a glue stick or a piece of tape. So then we'll take our stencil and we can just trace a nose onto the face of our puppet. Now he looks a little like this.
Hello, I'm Jacob.
And for variety, you could use a set of googly eyes, which give anything personality, like my lamp here.
I'm gonna finish putting these guys together, but in the meantime, I think it's time for some
Slow-Mo Joe.
Hey kids, I'm DIY Dave, and I'm gonna smash this cake right here. But before I do, I need you to promise me something. Can you promise me? I need you to promise me that you're gonna mind your parents. Do you promise? Are you sure? Good. Let's smash a cake.
1, 2, 3!
All right, now kids, you be good like you promised, okay? Thanks.
And that's all today for Random Picks. I'm DIY Dave.
Yes, DIY Dave.
Hello, my name is Purple Red-Headed Woman. All right.
Hello. Goodbye.
That was great! I didn't even know a birthday cake could even do that. Oh man, that was just fantastic. Getting back to your sort of learning process, are there any challenges that you're currently facing that have been particularly difficult?
In fact, there is. There's a segment of the show called B is for Bear, and the bear is a puppet with a snout, which I've never built, and he has blinking eyes, which I have no clue about either. But I found some useful resources online, and also discovered that they make wooden ball knobs for cabinets that are an inch and a half in diameter, and a tournament grade ping pong ball is 40 millimeters in diameter, which we all know is almost 2 millimeters larger than an inch and a half, and that gives you the clearance you need for a moving eyelid. There's also a few animated puppets, so I'm learning how to animate, which is something I've always wanted to do. There's also some 3D graphics that I'm learning how to render, sets to build, puppets to make, music to write and record, poems, scripts, never a dull moment. So I guess to answer your question, all of it pretty much.
Wow. That's quite a bit to chew on. How are things going so far? Do you see yourself being able to get all of this done? It seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, but it's all so much fun. I love to learn, so I'm soaking all this stuff up like a sponge. I'll get it all done. I believe in the vision.
How do you plan to manage your workload? Do you still make time for family and for God, things like that? You work a full-time job. When do you sleep?
At night, mostly. No, I have my devotion and prayer time with God in the mornings. My girls and I have like a movie night, and we spend time together watching TV on occasion. So, and they help me in the shop quite a bit. We have church-related activities we're always doing together. So, there's that. And then, my job is really great. It can hardly be viewed as work either. It's all a lot of fun. So it is a lot, but it's really quite fulfilling.
So, getting back to the show, what is some of the subject matter that it will cover?
Well, as I said before, life on life scenarios, addressing subjects like fear, honesty, prayer, manners. We have a show on forgiveness. And as I said, how the Bible applies to all of them every day.
So it's a bit educational as well as religious. Going back to some of the shows you used to watch as a kid. That's great.
That's right.
What are your goals for the show? What is its purpose?
The goal is to reach young people with biblical principles and tools they can use in their everyday life to live for God. And just like those live shows I watch, the parents are sort of drawn into it too. So it reaches people with the gospel through this wonderful medium called puppetry. It's very non-threatening, so you almost instantly have this level of trust that's kind of nice. And the message gets through the walls that would normally not be able to be crossed. It's the Trojan horse of the gospel, I like to call it. Reaching people for God, growing the kingdom that is without end. Amen.
How are we going to be able to see it? Will it be on YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo?
We have a YouTube channel, so it'll be aired on YouTube. Links will be posted on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our website, the church's website, anybody else who will share it.
What is the schedule going to be like? Will it be on a seasonal basis? Will there be different episodes? How many episodes will there be in one season?
It'll be a seasonal show, airing sometime in April or May. Each season will have 12 episodes that will air every 2 weeks for 6 months. In the off season, we'll hopefully be performing the live shows for churches, schools, assisted living facilities. We've done that before, places like that.
David, this all sounds incredible and terrific, and I'm so excited for you and for this project, and I can't wait to see the show. I mean it. Now, you're going to be posting updates on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook leading up to the show. You can reach out to this outreach ministry by visiting www.newlifepuppetsinc.com or click on one of the links on your screen. Also, please feel free to attend a worship service on Sunday morning and Wednesday evening if you're in the LaGrange area at New Life Apostolic Church at 402 Cooley Road. More information can be found at www.newlifelagrange.org.
God bless you all, and have a blessed day.
Camera. It doesn't seem nothing. Does it?